gummies. Use this if you want to smell like daddy.
You never had to question if you were a man, so why give your money to a corporation that doesn't know if their products are made for men? Try Jeremy Razor's hair and body products. Jeremy shampoo and conditioner are made with tea tree oil to naturally clean and restore your hair and scalp, argan oil to soften your hair and not your masculinity, and aloe vera to moisturize the hair and scalp. It's all paraben-free, sulfate-free, phthalate-free, and most importantly, 100% woke-free. Not to mention, it smells amazing. Go to jeremyrazors.com and use my special code BURNS15 to save 15% off. That's jeremyrazors.com. Use my special code BURNS15 to save 15% off. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. In this video, Kendi, close my door. Close this door. In this episode, we are going to discuss some things I'd like to talk to you about. And one in particular, Netflix came out with another documentary in regards to racism. Okay. And the author of How to Be Anti-Racist, he was basically the producer of this documentary. And of course, he had other authors with him that co-authored the book and co-authored this documentary. One thing is troubling about this documentary. What do we want to call it? You say you want to be anti-racist, and all the while you're being racist, if that makes any sense. And I have a serious question for you guys. If you are pro-Black, does this mean you have to be anti-white? I'm going to ask this one question again. If you are pro-Black, does this mean you have to be anti-white? This question comes to mind because we have, and I don't know if we want to say liberals or progressive way of thinking, but they're more like BLM activists, and they get these doctorate degrees and they try to come up with these philosophies of this new age racism, and they use the term microaggression. Now they have terms like anti-racist, reverse racism, all kinds of terms that we probably never used before, never heard before. And I'm questioning whether or not, if we're pro-Black, does that mean we have to denounce the white man? And it's just a serious question. You guys put it in the chat because I'm really confused. So we'll get into that today. And I have some crazy clips to show you from this guy that created or wrote this book and created this documentary on Netflix. And we have another thing to show you is with the police force. And I have another serious question. Do you think women should be allowed on the police force? And I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you a couple of clips. This one particular clip is kind of wild. And not to say it doesn't happen with men, but it's pretty crazy the way the abuse of power happens with women versus men. Okay. This is just my own personal opinion. I'm not anti-woman or anything like that. This is just my own personal opinion. So we'll get into it today on another episode of Business Talks.
Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
Once again, if you enjoyed that intro music, you need to go to scoresomemusic.com. That website is www.scoresomemusic.com. My intro music was composed by one of my viewers. His name is Matt Torrance, and he could tailor some music for your needs. www.scoresomemusic.com. Let's see who we have in the chat. We have Bridget Holman. Bridget, thank you. That is my youngest son. He's a little whippersnapper. That is my youngest son. Thank you for joining us. Dwayne Mansell, critical race theory teaches exactly what you asked. And that's what I'm getting at, critical race theory. I think since they haven't brought critical race theory in the schools, they're trying to put it on Netflix to get to our children and brainwash them. So some of these clips I'm going to show you is really kind of disturbing, because I do believe racism exists. I don't think it stops you from getting to point A, from point A to point B. Let me repeat. I do think racism exists, but however, I do not think it hinders you if you're viewing as a Black person or some other group of minority people in America. I don't think it hinders you from you getting from point A to point B. The reason why I'm saying that, I am a product of, I was born and raised in the hood. I mean, like literally the hood. Some days we didn't have lights. Some days we didn't have running water. Literally in my childhood, we was moving every 90 days. Every 90 days we will move. We were moving, getting kicked out because, my mom didn't have money to pay the rent, or she just wasn't managing her money to pay the rent. But whatever the case was, I am from poverty. And when I look, even when some of my family members come and see my house, they be like, dang, Chawanne, y'all balling. Y'all living real good. And I could tell you, we are very fortunate. Me and my husband, and he's from the same environment. He is from Southern Alabama. He experienced, even racism. He was beat up by the cops, but we couldn't even say racism because it was some Black cops that beat him up. But he was from a poor environment like I did, and we both came together and we reached a common goal and got married and have kids, and we live in a nice house. We live in a nice neighborhood. We make 90% more than other people. So we're very, very fortunate. And so that's why I say racism cannot stop you from achieving the things that you need to achieve or that you want to achieve. I'm a big proponent of that. The white man is not trying to get you. So, and you'll hear that I say this constantly when I talk about racism. But this one particular guy, his name is Kendi. Let me just pull him up. I think his first name is Ibram. Yeah, Ibram X Kendi. He had to put the X in there. I don't know if he changed his name, but it's and he's nothing like Malcolm X. Malcolm X, if Malcolm X will hear him today, he'd probably be like, okay, shut the hell up. You sound like a damn fool. But Ibram Kendi X, he produced, let me share this with you guys. Where is it at? Oh, right here. He produced, it's already out. It came out this past November. He produced this film, and it's a documentary. It's called Stamped from the Beginning. Docs pull up the roots of American racism. And this documentary, based on Dr. Ibram X. Kendi book, recasts some of the Black history's most influential narrators. And we're going to view it. I don't know if, let me see how long it is. If it's too long, I can't play it, but we're going to not view it. This is just a little snippet from it. But in this, it says, in Stamped from the Beginning, the definitive history of racist ideas, William uses an innovative animation process to blend live action with art, and the film highlights leading women academics and activists such as Angela Davis, Honoree Jeffers, Brittany Cunningham, and Dr. Jennifer Morgan. When we started looking at the historians and scholars, we came up with a long list, and I noticed the pattern that most of the people doing the work around racism in America were Black women. Okay, I asked them in pre-interviews, why do you do this work? And many of them said the same thing. They had no choice. This was their experience in their life. And if they are going to dedicate their life to something, it's going to be about changing the understanding racism in America, because they can't escape racism in America. You can't escape racism in America. Put it in the chat if you are a minority, if you're Black. Some people don't call me Black, call me African American, whatever. Put it in the chat, whatever you identify as. Have you experienced racism in the last week? Put it in the chat if you experienced racism in the last month. Now, you probably seen racism because they put it on the news like it's happening, like it's an everyday occurrence that people are experiencing. It's everyday occurrence everywhere because we see it in the news. Like, you can't even walk 2 feet without experiencing racism. Matter of fact, I should be scared since all my neighbors are white. I should be literally terrified to live in this neighborhood. I'm really trying to understand this. I'm not trying to make a mockery of it, but I'm really trying to understand why are we honing in and beating this horse, saying racism is stopping Black people, is stopping minorities from getting to point A to point B. I really want to understand this, because like I said, when I look at myself, even some people was like, oh, you just got lucky. No, I didn't get lucky. I mean, it took me some years to get my mind right. Even my mind was messed up. It took me some years to get my mind right. It took me years to even know how to manage a budget, pay my bills. Didn't know how to pay my bills. I'm telling you guys, my credit was crap. I remember one time I went to go get a car, and they laughed at me. They said, ma'am, do you know your credit score? I was like, nah. He was like, it's 435. My credit score was 435. But yeah, I'm trying to get my mind around this. Do you have you ever experienced racism? And if you are pro-Black, you're for your brothers making it, do you have to be anti-white? Do we really? Do we really have to be anti-white? This is having a hard time churning, so we're gonna go on to Ibram Kendi. This is what he said. And I, you know, want to call him a fool because I think just because you got doctor in front of your name, that doesn't mean you got any damn common sense. And this is the problem. We're getting these non-value added degrees and we're charging kids to get these damn degrees, and you don't bring value. You don't bring value, and you're spreading propaganda.
Constructions of whiteness. That I don't think white people worldwide have really reckoned with how much their own personal identity is shaped by constructions of whiteness, and how much that construction of whiteness prevents white people from connecting to humanity. In other words, recognizing that when you recognize you are part and parcel of humanity. In other words, you're not over humanity, right? It allows you to really be able to connect to people who don't look like you, who have kinky hair, who have dark skin, and to see yourself in them. And it's whiteness that prevents that, right? And when you're not able to see yourself in other human beings, that creates all sorts of problems. But not just societal problems, personal problems. That I think hopefully this film and this work will liberate those folks from. So I think it's liberating all the way around, right?
This was a lot. It sounds like he thinks white people are robots. Like, hi, I'm not a human. Hello, humanoid. Like, come on. I'm laughing because when I was growing, I grew up, part of my adolescence years, I grew up in Iowa. Literally, I had 3 culture shocks growing up. We went from Chicago. We had a whole bunch of black people and some Latinos. Then we moved to Iowa, and I was like, damn, look at all these white people. Then I moved to Detroit. I was like, dang, look at all these black people. Culture shock. When I was growing up in Iowa, I had a few friends. One of my good friends, she was a white girl. Her name was Beth. Beth, we did almost everything together. We went to summer camp together. We went to parties together. And I knew her like in my teenage years. But then I had this, one of my other best friends, Tara. She was a black girl. And I thought she was a uppity black girl because she had a Cadillac, one of those Cateras. She was driving in high school and she had a Catera Cadillac. So she was an uppity black girl, well, per se. Her parents they were probably like middle class, upper middle class. But I was poor, okay? Beth, probably lower middle class. Did I ever see myself in Tara and not Beth? No. I saw myself in both of them because we were friends. We had so much in common. That's what people tend to do. When you're from a particular area, you tend to have the same likes and dislikes and same type of attributes. The things that's popular, you tend to migrate to because this is the way we live in this particular region. And that's normal. So and when he was speaking of like white people are not human beings, like they're just floating on air. They don't have any problems. They don't struggle with nothing. And And then he used the this is baffling to me. He described it as a world approach or a world view. White people around the world, they have this inhumane disconnect to people, and which is really baffling to me. Unless you traveled that around the world, you don't know. And I don't think he has. Because any European will probably tell you, or any Southern, any person that's in the South, they probably have a different perspective versus a person up north. They probably will have a different perspective. And it all depends, black, white. It all depends on who you're speaking of or who you're speaking to. So it's really baffling to me that he's speaking in such a way of just white people are not human. I mean, that's, to me, that's really wild. But I think this is, it's just being racist. To me, this is just flat out racism. But he got a few more things that he want to talk about.
I think it will liberate, really all of us because, we've all been told a lie about ourselves and other people.
Ooh. And, they're all clapping and saying, oh, yeah, we've been told a lie. Yeah, back in the day, and this is not in my era, probably, I want to say, maybe 50s, 60s, maybe 70s. If you're 70, early 70, and before that, I think you could truly say that, yeah, they labeled black people and it wasn't really true. But you could see stuff on the internet and be like, you trying to dehumanize black people, which some people do. The media does dehumanize black people sometimes. But in other times, it's like, no, you're really dehumanizing yourself. Like I said yesterday, we were talking about, okay, are we we're fighting the wrong thing. We need to pick and choose our battle. We cry about stuff and we spend a lot of focus on like the wrong things instead of, hey, like the white man is really not trying to get you. How about we focus on how we should treat each other as individuals? Black people treat each other as individuals instead of, reacting to like, oh, the guy looked at me the wrong way, or he stepped on my shoes, or he walking in my territory, got certain things on. They're wearing a certain color. I think we're focusing on the wrong things, and you're focusing. This guy, he wants everybody to know that, hey, white people got it wrong a long time ago, and they still getting wrong, and they're robots. You guys put it in the chat. Let me know what you think. It's sad because it's still against. Hey, Chawanne, love today's topic. Tough love. Hello. I remember Rodney King's saddest day ever. It brought America to tears. Yeah, very sad. Even George Floyd, when you saw that tape and the guy was just standing on, kneeling on his neck, it's like, okay, why are you doing that? That was really sad. That was really hard to watch. Even Ahmaud Arbery, that was hard to watch. Somebody just killing somebody. Things like that is hard to watch. But is it rampant? Is it like, are they hanging people? No. I think you're going to run into some bad people. I think it's just going to run. And Derek Chauvin, I think he had a hard on against George Floyd. I think he knew him personally. Um, but people stood by and nobody did anything. And uh, based off of his medical report, George Floyd probably would have survived if he wasn't under the influence. So it's a lot of stuff that combined with that particular incident. But it is. I mean, I'm not saying racism doesn't exist, but I'm saying this is foolery. This is foolery. You're saying your whiteness is stopping me from being great as a Black person. That's basically what he's saying. Your whiteness is stopping me from being a great person because you're disconnected. You can't make a real connection. And when you're in either political power or whatever, you don't have the wherewithal to make necessary things to make change for laws or resources or rules or regulations that will help other people. It's like you're just saying white people are inhumane. I can't agree with that. I think it's really ridiculous. Too many people are full of excuses. You have to work hard at what you want. Yes. Boss ass Linda, finally caught you live. Thanks for coming and joining us. It's the 21st century. Obama ended racism. Racism exists all over the world. No, for some reason, Black people want to, and I said this, Black people, we want to hold the oppression banner. We want to beat, even slavery. Slavery was abolished. 1865. It was abolished 1865. Probably they didn't want to get rid of it in the South. And they tried to hold on to it. So finally, they got the message and everybody was free. And so of course, it stirred up a bunch of racism for Black people. But we want to hold this oppression badge like racism only existed in America and it only happened to Black people. And what we shouldn't even be mad at white people. We should be mad at Africa. They the one who hunted us down and sold us. You know how they, some people be like Africanism and pro-Black. I'm from Africa. It's like, okay, your own people sold us to the white man. So it's like, what are we really saying here? Why do we want to hold this badge of honor? Like, can we just move forward as a people? And it's really ridiculous to me. He had some more to say. Well, some of the people on his panel had more to say.
And I am trying to work with.
Now, this, I guess she's an educator or author. She's trying to get education, critical race theory in schools.
We've been promoting the film.
I know. What do I have next? I am doing a Stamp from the Beginning impact campaign. We made this film to change hearts, minds, and policy, and I am trying to work with our team of producers to make sure that it does just that. We want it to re-edit it so that we can get it to middle schoolers. We want to create curriculum. We want to do an annotated website and more, because it is crucially important that children of all kinds grow up understanding there's nothing wrong with Black people, but also grow up understanding that they have a right, they have an obligation, and they have the power to make change for everybody. So that's what I'm working on next.
And I don't think kids growing up think is something wrong with Black people. I think they know it's a color difference. Like, oh, why are you brown? And why am I? I remember my youngest son, he was like, "Oh, I want my hair straight." And I told him, "Your hair doesn't grow straight." My other son, his hair is more straight than my youngest son, but he wanted a certain hairstyle so it could flip up, and I had to, and he was like literally crying about it. I was like, "Well, that's not how our hair grows." So, and once he got out of that phase, he realized, okay, this is what I came from. This is my heritage. But this was taught. Usually when you mix kids up together, racism is taught. Racism is not embedded in the kids. You teach racism. So them putting like critical race theory in the schools and trying to put one class against the other, or one race against the other, trying to put another race above another race, that's basically very divisive. Instead of saying, hey, this is a history class, that of critical race theory, you trying to make it a theory. No, a history class. This is what happened, XYZ. No, Christopher Columbus didn't discover America because we had already indigenous people over here. This is just something that he thought he discovered. He thought he was the only. So, I mean, this is common sense. And if you want to end racism, stop teaching racism things. I mean, come on now. Stop teaching racism things. I had to correct myself because my son, he didn't know. My son was coming home. You know how your kids tell you stuff and be like, "Mommy, so and so did this in class." And I will always ask him, and I had to say, "Dang, I gotta stop asking him that." "Oh, was this kid white or black?" I will always ask him that. And so it took me about, well, when he went to this last school, uh, it took me a year to recognize that I was doing this, because, and then he started doing this kind of stuff. "Oh, the black kid," and I had to tell him, "Oh no, it doesn't matter if the kid was black or white. He did such and such and such and such." I had to, actually correct him because I didn't realize that I was doing it. But anyway, racism is taught. Kids don't grow up, man, like, "Oh, look at that black boy. He gonna steal." No. Kids like, "I'm gonna be your friend. I'll play with you. If you're nice to me, vice versa." If they don't have their parents putting shit in their head. Like I said, racism is taught. It's a learned behavior. And like I said, this other guy, he got another thing to say. And now he's talking about toxic masculinity and how he had to correct himself of not being toxic and the privilege of being a man. I think, like I said, this crazy nonsense of, "Oh, I'm privileged to being the man. I have the upper power." Yeah, because you're a man. Like, what? Oh, you want to be equal? Okay, put a dress on. Like, come on now. Like, where do you stop? Where do you stop with the madness? But this is what he had to say.
I actually do think that white Americans and white people worldwide can begin to recognize the full scope of their privilege. And part of the reason why I think that's the case is because as a man, I've been seeking to, and on a journey to recognize the full scope of my privilege as a man, right? As a heterosexual man. Now, people around me may tell me, "Well, you haven't done that yet," right? But I feel like I'm genuinely trying. I'm genuinely striving. I'm genuinely also recognizing the ways in which, masculinity can be toxic, not just to the world, but even to men. And so I'm hoping that if I, as a man, can recognize that privilege, then white people, as white people, can recognize their privileges as well.
And I know some white people are like, dang, I wish I was privileged. We have black privilege, especially now. We get a lot of black privilege. Especially if your family is well-to-do, well off, there's some black privilege in there. I think it's all kind of a socialist thing. It's a tier. When he's saying white Americans recognize the full scope of their privilege, it's like, okay, you do have some white people that are not privileged. There's some poor white folks out there. And he's saying, I want to recognize, well, I recognize the privilege of being a man. Okay. So you're admitting that you have overcome some obstacles of being a man and not being a black man. You're on Netflix. Yeah, I think he wrote 15 books. Let's pull him up. This guy has written 15 books, produced stuff on Netflix, and you're saying that you want the white man to recognize his privilege. What about your privilege, Abram? What about your privilege, Abram? Let me see if this is it. No, that's not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. I literally can't find a I literally can't find where I found that other thing I was at for his the books that he has written, and I believe he's written like 15 books. It's like really crazy. And like 5 bestsellers, and we're saying, you're saying that you want, white folks to recognize their privilege. What about you? Really can't find them. Okay, this is about him. He's a National Book Award winning author of 15 books for adults and children. Just imagine. He's writing all these books about how to be anti-racist. And he has he's a professor at Andrew Mellon in humanities. Or no, he has a doctorates from I guess that's Boston University. He's contributor writer at the Atlantic and CBS News racial justice contributor. So, I mean, he has 15 books. 15 books. And How to Be an Anti-Racist is on the New York Times bestseller list. That I wonder if he thinks he's privileged or he attributes his success for just being a man, um, or his hard work. I mean, he's been propped up. You know, we have all these philosophers out here talking about anti-racism, and they make up these damn words that nobody knows what they're talking about because they're the only one who actually did the research for it. And we're saying research. Can we really call it research? Can we really call it research? This is what they're saying on this post. I think Abram X. Kendi needs to recognize the full scope of his own privilege. How this guy managed to wangle millions of dollars out of people is a complete mystery to me. He's such an obvious fraud and so unlikable at the same time. He's unmoral, is moral pomposity personified, a human slick oil. Somebody doesn't really like him. His privilege is getting people to overfund his nonsense. That's what they're saying. He's just a run-of-the-mill racist. To me, yeah, he sounds racist and he tries to. I think they all sound alike. And especially if you listen to the girl that's over BLM, they all have the same tone when they talk. They try to sound genuine and so compassionate and like they're in touch with the people, but this guy used the word pompous. Their ego. They think they just know everything because they got a damn doctorate degree in nothing. And they made up some terms to put in books to get everybody confused. That's what they did. They made up some terms so you could be like, "Oh wow, this is a new word that I gotta remember." And you waste time trying to understand this nonsense instead of going off about your business. You try to really understand it, and it's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit. I'm trying to find this other article about him. Man, I'm not doing too good today in finding my stuff. I need my glasses for real. I need some glasses. I need some glasses. And they have a center for racism. I mean, at Boston University, they got this whole thing for anti-racism. Oprah, there's something wrong with Oprah. I used to love Oprah. It's on Oprah Daily. Recommends 10 books to better understand. That's why he took off. Anyway, we're going to move forward. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on being anti-racist because to me, it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of BS. Recognize how you could love people. Just be a good person. Don't try to make people feel bad about their heritage or where they came from. They didn't own any slaves, okay? The people that you trying to penalize, they're not in Congress. The people that you don't like that's in Congress, these are not the people. You don't like the billionaires and millionaires, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, you hate them. But the regular white man, white woman, that's not them. They had nothing to do with you getting stopped by the cops or you getting pulled over or somebody owning a slave. They had nothing to do with it. So why should they feel ashamed of who they are? To me, that's really ludicrous. Anyway, Ahmad L, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate you. A new subscriber, love the content, salutes us. Well, thank you, brother. I really appreciate you. Colleen says, Hulu did a documentary on Black girls missing. Honestly, they don't get attention as white girls. No, they don't. They don't get they don't get a lot of attention. Black girls that come missing, they don't get no attention at all. This needs to change, and it infuriates me knowing this still goes on. Well, Colleen, remember, I don't know because you've been here for a while. Remember, I told you they in California, they got, instead of Amber Alert, they got Ebony Alert. Only reason why I'm mentioning this. Okay. So we say Black girls don't get enough attention when they come missing. They push it off to the side. Oh, she'll be back. Oh, she probably just a runaway. Instead of Amber Alert. Hey, no, she's not a runaway. This female, this young girl would never run out. She comes from a decent home. She would never run off without telling her mom. She would never run off without letting people know where she is. So they push it off. And this is really the people that's taking the reports. That's like the cops or the investigators that's taking the reports. They push it off by the wayside. So I totally agree with you, Colleen, when you said they don't get enough attention. But California, they want to mitigate this crisis. And they created an Ebony Alert. Now, what do you think that's going to happen? Now you got this Amber Alert. Amber Alert is only for white people. You got Ebony Alert. Do you think people going to pay more attention to Ebony Alert versus an Amber Alert? Why don't you just put it on the Amber Alert? I just don't understand. To me, this is what they got, this separate system. You guys look it up. Ebony Alert that they is supposed to I think they supposed to initiate it, make it live in January. And this is in California. Because people recognize that, young Black girls don't get enough attention, but that's not going to solve the problem. What would solve the problems if the investigators take it seriously? Instead of trying to specialize one life over another. Anyway, do people pay money to listen to this man? Yes, they pay a lot of money. Gracie, they pay a lot of money to listen to this man spill nonsense. I can't believe after all these years, the Willie Lynch manifesto is still affecting some black folks. It's crazy. This guy did a documentary for ESPN, and after seeing it, they only aired it on ESPN3. You know what? This documentary, it's been out for a while. It's been out since what is it? It's been out since beginning of November. This has been out since November. November the 20th. And I ain't never seen it. This is it.
There is a myth about the founding of this country. People want to erase American history as it.
I wonder what she's talking about. There's a myth about the founding of this country. I mean, what is she saying here?
Truly was.
Racist ideas of African people as beastly, worthy of enslavement, started circulating.
And it worked.
So I'm not gonna play that. I mean, if you want to view it, you could view it on Netflix. I'm not gonna play what happens when we tell these myths about black people. Okay, that's what they did back then. If you seeing these type of posters now, we have the BLM people to stop this. Okay. People are getting wrongfully convicted, and then now they got the Innocent Project. People are getting let out. So we have a lot of stuff that's been changing. The only thing that hasn't changed and has gotten worse is nothing to do with the white man. It all has to do with how black people come together and how we interact with each other. Has nothing to do with the white man. How our family structure, we don't even have none. I was listening to Dr. Claude Anderson, and he said we don't even have neighborhoods anymore. We have just hoods. We don't even have neighborhoods anymore. We just have hoods because we don't have three things that we need for a community to work. Economics, a rule of how we treat and how we conduct ourselves, and something else he said, like a closed system. Like you could close this community off and they could function. We don't have that. And definitely we don't have no code of conduct. And we don't call people out on their code of conduct. We say, oh, they getting their money. They getting their bag, sis. Instead of calling people out on their bullshit. Anyway, I'm going to get to my next subject. I don't want to talk your ear off. My next subject, I did ask a question to the audience if you are just coming in and viewing me. Should women be part of the police force? And I'm not talking about like the actual police force in like working, like even detective. I'm talking about like on the beat, arresting people because I seen this wild thing today. This is crazy, you guys. I've seen this today, and we've seen it before. It's not like it's new or anything. Let me see if I can find that. It's it's not a new thing. Maybe I didn't save it. It's where this officer was trying to arrest this individual, and this was in Chicago, and it took 4 women police officers to restrain him, and he wasn't no big dude either. It took 4 of them to restrain this one guy. I've seen videos where one police officer, and it was a woman, she tried to pull over and arrest this guy, and it was a white guy, and he was fighting her, almost got away until a concerned citizen helped the police officer with the arrest. So if we want to recognize the privilege of being a man, that's one of the privileges, because you're stronger than a woman. Anyway, I'm laughing because it's so shameful. Now, this is not really funny. This is kind of sad. And reason why I said I don't think some people shouldn't be police officers, period. But this particular one, like, some women get that power stuff, they just go way too far with it. And not to say this can't happen with a man, but why would you do this? Why would you do this? Let's see if there's video. And it's saying in the video, which has been shared and viewed thousands of times, it shows the officer leading a handcuffed 24-year-old man, Michael Washington of Tuscaloosa, to her cruiser and pushing him against the hood during a December 2nd traffic stop. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I did that. Let me just show you on Twitter, because apparently this one is not working out for me.
Right there in front of the car. Stay still.
I ain't doing shit, bro. I got gun right there. I'm not doing that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying, what you saying? Oh, yeah, fuck. I'm not. Oh, my God.
Fuck up.
Okay. Oh, down. Oh, my fuck. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
You want it again?
No, man.
Shut the fuck up. You was big and bad. Shut your bitch ass up.
She said, shut your big ass up. You was big and bad. So we don't know what happened prior to this. Maybe it was a little scuffle. I'm not for sure. But she shouldn't have did that. I totally agree with everybody. She took her power way over. She's abusing her power. So maybe she should not be on the police force. And that's why I'm asking the question. Should women be allowed on the police force, especially, by themselves? When you force out all the competent cops or don't build positive culture amongst those that will become cops, these are the sacks of crap you're left with. Also say no to female cops. Malcolm Flex, he's saying he don't think female cops should be allowed on a police force. There was another video, two young ladies. They were actually white officers. I don't know how the hell they got a job in Detroit. They were Detroit police officers, and they came up on this shooting. Somebody was shooting, crossfire. They decided, okay, we're gonna leave. And the guy was one of the guys was shot. They left the scene and didn't return. And reason why they know about the whole incident, because somebody caught it on camera. They got these green lights cameras at some of the gas stations, and they saw the police come up, and they left. And they were two police officers, two women police officers. They probably was like, I ain't about to die today. Now, with men take more risks. They'll start. Men are riskier. They'll run to the fight instead of away from the fight. Women, they like, yeah, no, I'm not about to do that. I'm not about to do that. We're not running to nowhere. So this lady, should she lose her badge? Yeah, I think she shouldn't even be on a police force. You got the man in handcuffs. They're behind. He can't really fight you. I mean, he probably can run away from you, but fight, no. But he's significantly bigger than you. He's 24. This is what I hate about black people. Now let me see if it got on here. So, community outrage after video show reformed police officer using a stun gun on a handcuffed man. Officer with the reformed police department is on administrative leave after she caught on the camera using the stun gun on the handcuffed man. So, but listen to this. According to the Pickens County Sheriff Office, Washington was charged with obstruction, governmental operations, resisting arrest, marijuana possession, drug trafficking, possessing a firearm as an ex-felon. Monday night, loved ones of the community members gathered near Reform City Hall to protest the shocking arrest. They said they were pushing for accountability. I agree with everything. This officer needs to be held accountable. But let me show you this news report. This is wild, you guys.
Leave for their behavior during an arrest over the weekend. Thanks for staying up with us here at 10. I'm Jarvis Robertson. This after a viral video shows what appears to be the police officer using a stun gun on a man during an arrest. Now, we want to warn you, you might find this story disturbing. WVTM 13's Emma Owen was in Reform tonight with the message from the man's relatives.
Loved ones and community members say they're here in Reform tonight pushing for accountability. They held a protest Monday night in response to the viral video showing a police officer.
Free Micah. Free Micah. You guys see this? Free Micah. Micah was caught up. Court is not a crime. We want just this. BLM. Black Lives Matter. Free Micah. Do you really want this guy free? He's not supposed to have a weapon. He's breaking the law. He has marijuana. He was trafficking drugs, marijuana possession, drug trafficking, I guess, because he had marijuana. So they probably got him. It was in his car, so they put trafficking on it. And he had a possession of a firearm. Now it says Rice said this all started when her boyfriend and 2 others were changing a tire of a car they were driving. She claims that the officer in the video pulled up, eventually putting her boyfriend in handcuffs and stunning him with the stun gun. When I seen it, I couldn't do nothing but cry. Rice said, I couldn't do nothing but cry. In a statement, Chief Richard Black, Mayor Melody Davis, sound like a black woman, said they were aware of the citizen's arrest and the police officer has been placed on administrative leave.
Officer using a stun gun on a handcuffed man. We want to warn you, you might find this video disturbing. After an exchange of words, the police officer pulls the trigger on the stun gun and then asked,
You want it again? No, shut the up, you was big and bad.
She could then be heard calling him an explicit name.
She tased him in the back, and she was holding it. She was just holding it there until he started crying.
Jalexis Rice, girlfriend of Micaiah Washington, says this all started when her boyfriend and 2 others were changing a tire of the car they were driving. She says that's when the officer in the video pulled up, eventually putting her boyfriend in handcuffs and tasing him.
When I seen it, I couldn't do nothing but cry. I couldn't do nothing but cry.
Following his arrest, Washington was booked into the Pickens County Jail on several charges. He has a bond of $500,000. In a statement, Reform's police chief and mayor said they're aware of the video and the police officer has been placed on administrative leave. However, people attending Monday's rally say they want more done.
She needs to be fired, and I feel like she can leave and go somewhere else and do it if they don't hold her accountable for nothing. You are police. You're here to protect and serve us. How do we supposed to trust you and this how you treat us?
But you know, she's totally wrong. This officer is totally wrong, but you're asking the police to free him. And he's totally wrong too. He's a criminal. He was riding dirty, had a gun on him. Marijuana is some legal in some places, but why you got a gun on you? And you know you're not supposed to have a gun. And it's probably not even a legal firearm. You know it's not legal because he's not supposed to have a possession of a weapon. So you're saying free. We don't know what he did with that weapon and why he need to carry it. So you know he's not on the up and up. So why are you saying free him? That's what I'm saying. We take on the wrong causes. Like, can we march to justice for somebody that really needs a march to justice? Like that one boy, he was the band member. He seemed like he was a pillar of the community. He went to the wrong house and the guy shot him. Maybe that's a person that we probably should protest. Even the girl that I think her name is Breonna Taylor, right? It was a no-knock warrant. They bust in. Her boyfriend had the warrant, apparently, or allegedly. I'm not for sure. I got to read back up on it. But they killed her. You know, very, very sad. And she worked for the police department. Very sad. Very sad. And they tried to cover it up. The girl was laying on the floor and her mom came to see what was going on. They said she was at the hospital. The mom went to the hospital, and all the while the girl, Breonna Taylor, was laying on the floor, dead. Why can't we march to justice for that individual? But we want to march to justice for people like this that know they doing wrong anyway. But we want to take up the cause like they're a pillar of our community. Like, come on now. We need to stop that. And you're trying to say she's supposed to serve and protect. We need to start serving and protect our own community. He shouldn't be allowed in our community because he's doing wrong. This is just my own personal opinion. These views and expression is only my individual opinion and not the opinion of YouTube. Anyway, you guys, that was it for our live stream. That was it for our live stream. You guys, tomorrow I might not be live tomorrow because usually I have kids' activities that I have to do. I have to be a mother. So usually I have afternoon activities for the kids. So you guys, Thursday, I'll be going on and we'll be talking about something. So stay tuned Thursday. I appreciate every single one of you. I am sending all my good to you. I will talk to you Thursday.